Have you ever wondered what would happen if time didn't move forward? If one quiet night your old bedside clock began ticking backward? Tonight, in the silence of your room, as the world drifts into dreams, we enter a world where time unravels, memories return, and one mysterious clock holds a secret that could change everything. Close your eyes and listen closely, because this is the story of the clock that ticked backwards. The clock that ticked backwards, a calming bedtime story in 5 chapters. Chapter 1. The room in the attic. You find yourself standing at the bottom of a narrow staircase, one you've never noticed before in this old house you've come to call home. The wooden steps creak softly beneath your feet, as if they're welcoming you after years of patient waiting. Each step carries you higher, away from the familiar sounds of the world below, and into something altogether different. The air grows cooler as you climb, carrying with it the scent of aged wood and forgotten time. Dust motes dance lazily in the pale afternoon light, filtering through a small window at the top of the stairs. Your hand trails along the smooth banister, worn smooth by countless other hands from countless other years. At the top of the stairs, you pause. Before you stands a door, painted white long ago, though now the paint peels gently like old skin. The brass doorknob feels cool in your palm and turns with surprising ease. The door swings open on silent hinges, revealing a room that shouldn't exist. You step inside and immediately feel the weight of years settling around your shoulders like a comfortable shawl. This attic room stretches further than it should, given the size of the house below. The ceiling slopes gently on both sides, creating intimate alcoves filled with shadows and secrets. Wooden beams cross overhead, dark with age, supporting the dreams and memories that have gathered here over decades. Sunlight streams through 3 windows, casting long rectangles of gold across the wide plank floor. The light moves slowly, as if time itself moves differently here, more deliberately, more thoughtfully. You notice how the dust in the air doesn't swirl chaotically, but instead drifts in gentle spirals, like leaves falling in autumn. Against the far wall sits an enormous wardrobe, its dark wood gleaming despite the dust. The doors stand slightly ajar, revealing glimpses of fabric within, silks and woolens in colors that speak of different eras. A rocking chair sits nearby, its seat worn smooth by use, still moving slightly, as if someone has just stood up from it. The chair rocks back and forth, in a rhythm that matches your heartbeat. Books line makeshift shelves along one wall, their spines faded but still readable. You can make out titles in languages you don't recognize, and others in familiar words that seem to shimmer slightly in the golden light. A small writing desk sits beneath one window, its surface covered with papers that rustle softly in an unfelt breeze. An inkwell sits open, the ink inside still liquid, still waiting. But it's the corner that draws your attention most powerfully, like a magnet pulling at something deep within your chest. There, tall and stately and utterly impossible, stands a grandfather clock. The clock towers nearly to the ceiling, its dark mahogany case polished to a deep shine that seems to hold light within its depths. Brass fittings gleam softly, and the glass door protecting the pendulum catches and reflects the room's golden glow. The clock face is cream colored, with Roman numerals marking the hours in elegant black script. Two hands move across the face, but something about their movement makes you blink and look again. You step closer, your footsteps muffled by a faded Persian rug. The clock's ticking fills the room, but it's not the steady, forward, marching tick-tock you expect. Instead, the sound seems to pull backward, each tick drawing time into itself rather than pushing it forward. You watch the minute hand and realize with a start that it's moving counterclockwise. The hour hand follows the same impossible path, creeping backward through the afternoon, through the morning, through the night that came before. As you watch, transfixed, the hands complete their reverse journey around the face. Once, twice, 3 times. Each revolution takes the same amount of time it should, but in the wrong direction, unwinding the hours instead of winding them forward. You reach out to touch the glass door, and the moment your fingertips make contact, the entire room seems to exhale. The books on their shelves seem to settle more deeply. The rocking chair's movement slows, and even the dust motes in the air pause in their gentle dance. The clock's reverse ticking grows slightly louder, more insistent, as if it recognizes your presence. Through the glass, you can see the pendulum swinging in its brass housing. But even it moves wrong, sweeping from right to left instead of left to right. The weight hangs at the bottom of its chain, slowly rising instead of falling, defying everything you know about how time should work. You circle the clock slowly, running your hand along its polished surface. The wood feels warm, almost alive, and you notice that there are no dust particles clinging to its finish, while everything else in the room bears the soft patina of abandonment. The clock remains pristine, as if it exists slightly apart from the rest of the space, in its own pocket of carefully maintained time. On the back of the clock, you discover a small brass nameplate, green with age but still readable. Chronos Reversus. It says in elegant script, followed by a date that makes you pause. The year engraved, there is still 3 months in the future. A date that hasn't arrived yet. And below it, an inscription in flowing cursive. Time remembered is time regained. You walk around to the front again and notice something else unusual. While the clock face shows Roman numerals, there's a small calendar window just below the 12, the kind that usually displays the current date. But this calendar, like the hands, runs backward. Today's date is there, but as you watch, it clicks back to yesterday. Then the day before, then further still, cycling through dates that grow more and more distant. The afternoon sun shifts slightly, and new shadows begin to creep across the floor. You realize you've been standing here for longer than you intended, caught in the clock's hypnotic reverse rhythm. But somehow, you don't feel tired. Instead, you feel more alert than you have in weeks, as if the backward flow of time is washing away fatigue instead of adding to it. You settle into the rocking chair, which seems to have been waiting for you all along. The moment you sit, the chair begins its gentle back and forth motion, synchronized somehow with the clock's reverse ticking. From this vantage point, you can see the entire room, and you begin to notice details that escaped your attention before. On the writing desk, the papers aren't random sheets, but what appears to be a journal, open to an entry dated several months ago. The handwriting is feminine, flowing, and even from across the room, certain words seem to stand out with unusual clarity. The clock arrived today. One line reads, and with it, the strangest sense of coming home. Near the wardrobe, a small mirror hangs on the wall, its silver surface clouded with age, but in its reflection, the room looks different somehow. More furnished, more lived in. You can see the ghost of a carpet that's no longer there, the shadow of curtains at windows that now stand bare. The mirror seems to show not what is, but what was, or perhaps what could be again. A small table sits between two of the windows, and on it rests a tea service. Delicate china with a pattern of blue roses. Steam seems to rise from the teapot's spout. Impossible but undeniable, as if someone has just finished brewing a pot. 2 cups sit on saucers, one empty, one half full, both still warm to the touch when you rise to investigate. The warmth of the cup spreads through your fingers, and with it comes a feeling you can't quite name. Not nostalgia, exactly, but something deeper. A sense of recognition, as if this room, this moment, this backward ticking clock are all part of something you've been searching for without knowing it. You return to the rocking chair, and as the sun continues its slow journey across the sky, the room begins to change in subtle ways. Colors seem richer, shadows more interesting, and the very air feels charged with possibility. The clock's reverse ticking becomes a comforting rhythm, like a lullaby sung backward, drawing you not into sleep, but into a state of peaceful awareness. Books on the shelves seem to rearrange themselves when you're not looking directly at them, not dramatically, but just enough to catch your peripheral vision. A volume of poetry moves from the third shelf to the second. A leather-bound diary shifts from left to right, as if the books are settling into their proper places, their rightful homes. The rocking chair's motion begins to slow, matching your breathing, which has grown deep and regular without doubt. You're noticing. The clock's ticking continues its backward march, and you find yourself wondering what it would be like to truly move backward through time, to unwind the days and weeks and months, all to return to moments you thought were lost forever. Outside the windows, the afternoon light begins to take on the golden quality that comes just before evening. But inside this room, time seems suspended, held in the gentle amber of the clock's influence. You could stay here for hours or days and emerge to find that no time has passed at all, or perhaps that time has been restored to you, given back in ways you didn't know were possible. As the shadows grow longer, you notice that the room's temperature remains perfectly comfortable, neither too warm nor too cool, as if the climate itself is regulated by the clock's reverse mechanism. The air carries hints of lavender and old roses, scents that seem to emerge from the very walls, from memories embedded in the wood and plaster. The wardrobe doors swing open a little wider, revealing more of their contents. Dresses from different decades hang in careful arrangement. A silk gown from the 20s, a wool coat from the 40s, a summer dress from a time you can't quite place. But they're not museum pieces. They look ready to be worn, as if their owners might return at any moment to claim them. On a small shelf inside the wardrobe, you notice a collection of photographs in silver frames. Even from your chair, you can see they show different people, different times, but all connected somehow, all part of the same story that this room seems to be telling. A woman in a garden, a couple on a front porch, children playing in what might be this very attic, when it was something else, something different. The clock chimes suddenly, a deep, resonant sound that seems to come from everywhere at once. But instead of marking the hour, it seems to be announcing something else. Some shift in the room's energy. Some change in the way time flows here. The chimes ring 7 times, but when you look at the clock face, the hands point to 5, still moving backward, still unwinding the day. As the last chime fades, you realize that night is approaching. But slowly, gently, without the usual sense of time running out. Instead, it feels like time is gathering, pooling in this room like water in a quiet pond, deep and still and full of reflections. You lean back in the rocking chair, feeling more relaxed than you have in months. The clock's reverse ticking has become part of your internal rhythm now, and you find yourself breathing in sync with its backward beat. Your eyes grow heavy, but not with ordinary tiredness, rather with a deep contentment, a sense of being exactly where you need to be. The room seems to breathe around you, expanding and contracting slightly, as if it too is falling into the rhythm of reversed time. Books settle more deeply into their shelves. The tea service grows warmer and somewhere in the walls, you swear you can hear the faint sound of music, a waltz perhaps, played on a piano that exists only in memory. This attic room, you realize, is not just a space filled with old things. It's a sanctuary where time itself can rest, where the relentless forward march of hours and days can pause, turn around, and offer you a chance to see where you've been, to understand what you've gained, and what you might have lost along the way. The grandfather clock continues its impossible dance, hands moving backward through time, pendulum swinging in reverse, each tick drawing the past closer instead of pushing it away. And as you sit in the gathering twilight, rocking gently, breathing slowly, you begin to understand that this is just the beginning, that this room, this clock, this backward flow of time has much more to show you. Tomorrow, you know without knowing how, you'll climb these stairs again. The clock will still be ticking backward. The room will still be waiting, and time itself will continue its gentle, mysterious, healing retreat into what was and what might be again. But for now, as the first stars appear outside the windows, as the room fills with the soft blue light of evening, you simply rock and breathe and listen to the sound of time unwinding, taking you home. Chapter 2D, Time Unwinds. The next evening finds you climbing the narrow stairs again, your feet finding the same creaking boards, your hand following the same smooth path along the banister. But something has changed since yesterday, something subtle yet unmistakable. Like the difference between a room where someone has just left, and a room where someone is about to arrive. You pause at the top of the stairs, your hand resting on the cool brass doorknob. Through the white, painted door, you can hear the clock's reverse ticking, louder now, more insistent, as if it's been waiting for your return with growing anticipation. The sound seems to pulse through the wood, through your palm, through your entire body, calling you into its backward embrace. The door opens more easily tonight, swinging wide on hinges that make no sound at all. You step inside and immediately notice that the room has rearranged itself, not dramatically, but with the subtle precision of a symphony, adjusting its instruments before the second movement begins. The rocking chair has moved closer to the grandfather clock, close enough that you can see every detail of its brass fittings, every nuance of its impossible backward motion. The tea service on the small table has been refreshed, steam rising from a pot that was empty when you left, cups positioned as if expecting guests who exist only in memory. But it's the light that strikes you most powerfully tonight. Where yesterday the room basked in golden afternoon sun, tonight it glows with a different illumination, altogether softer, more mysterious, as if the light itself is filtered through layers of time. The windows show the approaching dusk outside, but inside, the room maintains its own luminous twilight, neither fully day nor completely night. You settle into the rocking chair, and the moment you do, the clock's ticking grows noticeably louder, not harsh or jarring, but more present, more immediate, as if it's drawing closer to you, or you to it. The pendulum swings in its brass housing, and right to left, each swing carrying with it a whisper of displaced air, a breath of time moving in the wrong direction. As you rock gently, matching the clock's reverse rhythm, you begin to notice changes in the room that weren't apparent yesterday. The books on their shelves have definitely rearranged themselves, not just a volume here or there, but entire sections. A shelf that yesterday held leather-bound classics now displays what appear to be journals, their covers worn soft with handling, their pages filled with handwriting that seems to shimmer in the room's strange light. The Persian rug beneath your feet shows a pattern you don't remember from before: deeper blues, richer golds, as if the colors are slowly returning to their original intensity. When you run your hand along the chair's armrest, the wood feels smoother, more polished, as if years of wear are being gently erased. The grandfather clock commands your attention most completely. Its mahogany case seems deeper, richer, as if the wood itself is remembering what it looked like when it was new. The brass fittings gleam with increased brightness, and the clock face, you realize with a start, is clearer than it was yesterday. The Roman numerals stand out more boldly. The hands move with more definition, and the calendar window below the 12 shows dates that are cycling backward with increasing speed. As you watch, mesmerized, the minute hand completes another counterclockwise revolution, and with each revolution, something in the room shifts, not dramatically, but perceptibly, like watching a photograph develop in reverse, colors deepening, details emerging, clarity increasing with each backward tick. The wardrobe against the far wall draws your attention next. Its doors have opened wider since yesterday, revealing more of their contents, and what you see makes you catch your breath. The dresses hanging inside are no longer merely old garments, or they're becoming something more, something alive with possibility. A blue silk evening gown seems to sway slightly, as if moved by a breeze that touches nothing else. A wool coat appears freshly pressed, ready for a walk that was taken decades ago. You rise from the rocking chair, moving slowly, as if the very air has grown thicker, more substantial. Each step across the room feels deliberate, important, as if you're not just crossing space, but crossing time itself. The wide, plank floor beneath your feet feels more solid somehow, less worn, as if the years of footsteps that have scuffed and marked it are being gently lifted away. At the wardrobe, you reach out to touch the blue silk dress, and the moment your fingers make contact, the fabric responds, not moving away, but moving toward, as if it recognizes your touch, as if it's been waiting for exactly this moment. The silk is cool and smooth, but beneath your palm, you can feel something else, a warmth, a vitality, as if the dress remembers being worn, remembers dancing, remembers being alive. Behind you, the clock chimes again, but this time, the sound is different, richer, more resonant, as if the brass bells inside are remembering their true voice. The chimes ring 8 times, though the hands on the face point to 6, still moving backward, still unwinding the evening into afternoon, the afternoon into morning, the morning into night. You turn back to face the room and see that other changes have occurred while your attention was focused on the wardrobe. The writing desk beneath the window now holds not just papers, but what appears to be a complete correspondence. Letters arranged in neat stacks, some still sealed, others opened and carefully refolded. An antique fountain pen lies across an unfinished letter, its gold nib catching the room's mysterious light. The small mirror on the wall has cleared considerably, its silver surface now reflecting the room with startling clarity. But what it shows is not quite the room you're standing in. It's the room as it once was, or as it's becoming. In the reflection, you can see heavy curtains at the windows, a carpet that covers more of the floor, furniture that isn't quite where it should be, or perhaps where it will be. Near the mirror, a small shelf you hadn't noticed before now holds a collection of objects that seem to pulse with their own inner light. A silver locket, a leather-bound journal, a glass paperweight that contains what looks like a miniature snowstorm. But the snow falls upward, defying gravity just as the clock defies time. You return to the rocking chair. But before you sit, you notice something that makes you pause. The tea service on the small table has changed again. Not just refreshed, but transformed. The delicate china shows a different pattern now. Roses that are pinker, leaves that are greener, gold trim that gleams with fresh brightness. One cup is filled with tea that steams invitingly. The other holds the ghost of what might have been hot chocolate, rich and dark and somehow familiar. As you settle back into the chair, the rocking motion begins immediately, but it feels different tonight. Smoother, more natural, as if the chair is remembering how it was meant to move, how it moved when it was new, when someone else sat here regularly, someone who loved this room, this clock, this impossible sanctuary where time flows backward. The grandfather clock's ticking has become the heartbeat of the room now. Steady, strong, pulling everything into its reverse rhythm. The books on their shelves seem to breathe in sync with it, expanding and contracting slightly, as if they're alive, as if they're remembering the hands that once held them, the eyes that once read them, the hearts that once cherished the stories within. Outside the windows, full darkness has arrived but inside, the room maintains its own gentle illumination. The light seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, soft and golden and warm, as if the very air is luminous. In this light, everything looks more real, more present, more important than it did in the harsh brightness of day. You notice now that the room's sounds have changed as well. The clock's ticking remains constant, but beneath it, you can hear other sounds, subtler, more mysterious. The whisper of fabric settling, the soft creak of wood expanding, the gentle rustle of papers arranging themselves, as if the room is slowly, carefully returning to life. The Persian rug beneath your feet has grown more vibrant, its patterns more complex, as if threads that had faded are remembering their original colors, their original purpose. When you run your hand along the chair's armrest, the wood responds, warming under your touch, becoming smoother, more welcoming, as if it too is glad for the contact. As the evening deepens, the clock's influence seems to grow stronger. The hands on its face move more definitely now, more purposefully, as if they're approaching some significant moment, some crucial juncture in their backward journey through time. The pendulum's swing has lengthened, its arc wider, its motion more graceful, like a dancer finding her rhythm. The calendar window below the 12 is cycling through dates with increasing frequency now. Days clicking backward, weeks unwinding, months retreating, as if time itself is gathering speed in its reverse journey. You watch, fascinated, as dates you remember, dates that held significance, flash past in reverse chronological order. The wardrobe has opened completely now, its doors spread wide, revealing not just the dresses and coats within, but an entire world of fabric and memory. Shoes sit in neat pairs on the bottom, polished and ready, as if someone might step into them at any moment. Hats rest on the upper shelf, their ribbons and flowers fresh with possibility, their brims shaped by heads that are no longer here, but somehow still present. You lean back in the rocking chair, and as you do, you realize that you're no longer just an observer in this room. You're becoming part of it, part of its rhythm, part of its backward dance through time. Your breathing has synchronized with clocks ticking, your heartbeat has matched its reverse pulse, and your very presence seems to be contributing to the room's gentle transformation. The books on their shelves are clearer now, their titles readable in the room's golden light. Memories of Tomorrow, one spine reads. The Art of Letting Go, says another. Finding What Was Lost, declares a third. These aren't random volumes. You realize they're a library, a collection assembled by someone who understood, someone who knew, someone who had walked this same backward path through time. On the writing desk, the letters have arranged themselves into what appears to be a correspondence spanning years, decades, perhaps longer. The handwriting on the envelopes changes from letter to letter, but there's a consistency, a connection, as if they're all part of the same conversation, the same relationship, the same love story told in reverse. The fountain pen on the desk seems to be writing by itself, or rather, unwriting, its golden nib moving across the paper, but instead of leaving marks, it's lifting them, erasing words that were written long ago, returning the page to its original pristine state, giving it the chance to hold new words, new thoughts, new possibilities. The mirror on the wall has become a window now, not just reflecting the room, but showing it as it truly is, or as it's becoming. In its silver surface, you can see layers of time, different versions of the same space, overlapping, intertwining, creating a depth that seems to extend far beyond the physical boundaries of the attic. As midnight approaches, though the clock's hands point to an afternoon hour from weeks ago, the room reaches what feels like a crescendo of transformation. Colors are richer, textures more detailed, scents more evocative. The air itself feels different, thicker, more substantial, as if it's been aged like wine, improved by its journey backward through time. The grandfather clock chimes 12 times, deep, resonant, each chime seeming to echo from somewhere far away or long ago. The sound fills the room, fills your chest, fills your consciousness with its backward benediction. As the last chime fades, you realize that you've witnessed something extraordinary, something that shouldn't be possible, but undeniably is. Time has unwound in this room, not just on the clock's face, but in reality itself. The space around you has shed years like old skin, revealing itself as it once was, or as it was always meant to be, and you, sitting in the rocking chair, breathing in sync with the clock's reverse rhythm, have become part of that unwinding, part of that return, part of that gentle, impossible, healing journey backward through time. Tomorrow night, you know, you'll climb these stairs again. The room will have changed further, revealed more of itself, more of its secrets, more of its impossible gift. But for now, as the clock continues its backward march, as the room settles into its transformed state, you simply rock and breathe and marvel at what it means to witness time itself coming home. Chapter 3. The Voice Behind the Wall. On the third night, you climb the stairs with a sense of anticipation that borders on longing. Your hand knows every groove in the banister now. Your feet find the quiet spots on each step, and your heart beats in rhythm with something you can't name, something that calls to you from behind the white, painted door. Tonight, the door opens before you can turn the handle, swinging wide as if the room itself is welcoming you home. You step inside and immediately notice that the transformation has accelerated. What began as subtle changes, gentle adjustments, has become something more dramatic, more purposeful, as if the room is no longer simply remembering what it was, but actively becoming what it once was, or what it was always meant to be. The grandfather clock dominates the space now, not because it has grown larger, but because it has grown more present, more essential, more alive. Its mahogany case gleams with a depth that seems to hold entire worlds within its grain. The brass fittings catch and hold the room's mysterious light, creating small stars, small beacons that pulse gently with the clock's reverse heartbeat. But tonight, it's not just the clock's visual presence that commands attention. Tonight, you can hear it breathing, not the mechanical talk of gears and springs, but something deeper, more organic, as if the clock has developed lungs, has learned to inhale time instead of exhaling it, drawing moments into itself, holding them, treasuring them, before releasing them back into the backward flow. You settle into the rocking chair, which has moved even closer to the clock. Close enough now that you could reach out and touch the glass door, protecting the pendulum. The chair's motion begins immediately, but tonight the rocking feels different, more intentional, as if the chair knows exactly how to move, exactly how to carry you, exactly how to help you synchronize with the room's increasing tempo of reverse time. The Persian rug beneath your feet has completed its transformation, its colors now so rich, so vibrant, that they seem to glow from within. The pattern depicts not just geometric designs, but scenes, stories, moments frozen in thread and dye. You can see figures dancing, couples walking, children playing, all woven into the fabric, all part of the room's growing narrative. As you rock gently, matching your breathing to the clock's reverse rhythm, you begin to notice something new. Sounds, subtle at first, barely audible above the clock's commanding tick, but growing clearer, more distinct, more present with each passing moment. Whispers, they seem to come from everywhere and nowhere, from the walls themselves, from the spaces between the floorboards, from the air that moves so gently around the room. At first, they're too soft to understand, more like the memory of voices than actual speech. But as you listen, as you allow yourself to sink deeper into the chair's rocking motion, the whispers begin to resolve into something more coherent. A woman's voice, soft, melodious, touched with an accent you can't quite place, seems to be speaking from somewhere behind the wall where the wardrobe stands. Her words drift through the room like smoke, like perfume, like the scent of flowers from a garden that exists only in memory. Thomas, the voice whispers, and the name hangs in the air like a question, like a prayer, like a hope that has been held too long. Thomas, can you hear me? You lean forward in the rocking chair, straining to catch every nuance of the voice, every inflection, every breath. The woman speaks again, clearer now, as if she's moving closer to whatever barrier separates her from this room, from this moment, from you. The clock is working, she says, and there's wonder in her voice, and gratitude, and something that might be tears. It's really working. Thomas, time is flowing backward, just like you said it would, just like you promised. The grandfather clock responds to her words, its ticking growing slightly louder, more insistent, as if it recognizes its own name being spoken, its purpose being acknowledged. The hands on its face seem to move with greater determination now, sweeping counterclockwise with increasing confidence, unwinding the hours, the days, the years, bringing the past closer with each reverse revolution. You rise from the rocking chair, moving slowly, quietly, as if sudden movement might break the spell, might silence the voice that has waited so long to be heard. You approach the wall where the wardrobe stands, and as you draw nearer, the woman's voice becomes clearer, more present, more real. I can feel you listening, she whispers. And now she seems to be speaking directly to you, directly through whatever invisible barrier keeps her on the other side of time. You're in our room, aren't you? You're sitting in my chair, listening to Thomas's clock. Your breath catches in your throat. The room, the chair, the clock, they all belong to someone else, someone who existed in another time, someone who left echoes of herself in this space, someone who has been waiting, waiting for time to flow backward far enough, long enough to bring her home. My name is Eleanor. The voice continues, and now it's accompanied by other sounds, the rustle of fabric, the soft tap of footsteps, the gentle creak of floorboards, all coming from behind the wall, from another time, another reality that exists parallel to this one. This was our room, Thomas's and mine, our sanctuary, our escape from a world that moved too fast, too forward, always forward. You press your palm against the wall, and the moment you do, you feel it, warmth, spreading from the other side, as if someone is pressing back, matching your touch, sharing your need for connection across the impossible gulf of years. He built the clock for me. Eleanor's voice drifts through the wall, through time, through the very molecules of air that separate past from present. When I told him I wished we could go back, could return to the beginning, could start over, he smiled and said, "What if we could?" And then he disappeared into his workshop. For months, for nearly a year, the grandfather clock chimes suddenly but not the hour. Instead, it rings out a melody, a waltz soft and sweet and hauntingly familiar. The melody fills the room, fills your chest, fills your consciousness with its backward beauty. As the music plays, the wall beneath your palm grows warmer, and Eleanor's voice grows stronger. He never explained how he did it. She continues, and now you can hear the smile in her voice, the love, the wonder that still touches her after all these years. Some combination of clockwork and physics and pure determination. But when he was finished, when he brought it up to this room, when he wound it for the first time, it began to tick backward, and time, oh, time began to flow in the direction of healing. The wardrobe doors swing open completely now, revealing not just the clothes within, but the woman who once wore them. Not visible, exactly, but present. Her essence, her spirit, her love still clinging to the fabrics, still inhabiting the spaces between the folds, still waiting to be worn again. We had 5 perfect years in this room, Eleanor whispers, and her voice is closer now, as if she's standing just on the other side of the wall, just on the other side of time. 5 years of watching time flow backward, of returning to our beginning again and again, of never growing older, never growing apart, never having to say goodbye. You slide down the wall until you're sitting on the floor, your back pressed against the warm surface, your hand still flat against what feels like the thinnest barrier between worlds. The Persian rug extends to meet you, its pattern shifting to accommodate your presence, welcoming you into its woven story. But then the war came. Eleanor's voice grows sad, distant, as if she's remembering something she's tried to forget. And Thomas, my dear Thomas, he said he had to go, had to do his part, had to leave our sanctuary of backward time and step into the world where time moved forward toward conflict, toward loss, toward endings. The grandfather clock's melody changes, becomes minor, becomes mournful, becomes a lament for love interrupted, for time disrupted, for promises that couldn't be kept. The hands on its face seem to slow their backward movement, as if they too are reluctant to reach whatever moment Eleanor is approaching in her story. He promised he would come back, she whispers thee, and now you can definitely hear tears in her voice, the sound of grief that has been held too long, carried too far. He promised that when the war was over, when the world was safe again, he would return to this room, to his clock, to me, and we would continue our backward journey through time, together, forever. The wall grows warmer, still beneath your palm, and you realize that your own eyes are damp. Your own heart is breaking for a woman you've never met, a love story that ended decades before you were born, a promise that was never fulfilled. I waited. Eleanor continues, and her voice is barely a whisper now, barely a breath, but it carries the weight of years, of seasons, of hope deferred and dreams denied. I waited in this room, with his clock ticking backward, unwinding the hours, the days, the months, bringing me back to when we were together, when we were happy, when time was our friend instead of our enemy. The rocking chair across the room begins to move by itself, gentle, rhythmic, as if someone invisible is sitting in it someone who has returned to claim her place, her sanctuary, her moment of perfect love suspended in reverse time. But the years passed. Eleanor whispers, and her voice is fading now, growing distant, as if she's being pulled away, back into whatever realm of memory and longing she inhabits. And Thomas never came home, and I realized that sometimes even time flowing backward cannot bring back what is truly lost. The grandfather clock's melody trails off into silence, leaving only the steady tick of its reverse rhythm. But even that seems subdued now, mournful, as if the clock itself grieves for the reunion that never came, the promise that was never fulfilled, the love that was interrupted by history's cruel forward march. You remain sitting against the wall, your palm pressed to its warm surface, feeling the echo of Eleanor's presence, the ghost of her touch, the shadow of her endless waiting. The room around you seems to pulse with her story, with her longing, with the decades she spent in this space, watching time unwind, hoping against hope that it would unwind far enough, long enough to bring Thomas home. Sometimes I think I see him. Eleanor's voice returns, softer now, more ethereal, like the memory of a memory, standing in the doorway, sitting in his favorite chair, winding the clock with that gentle smile he wore when he was working on something impossible, something wonderful, something just for me. The writing desk beneath the window glows more brightly now, and you can see that the letters arranged on its surface are not random correspondence, but love letters, dozens of them, hundreds perhaps, all in the same masculine handwriting, all signed with the same name, Thomas, all dated from the years before the war, before the separation, before time moved forward and took him away. I kept writing to him. Eleanor whispers, and now you understand the papers on the desk, the fountain pen that moves by itself, the ink that never runs dry. Every day For 50 years, I wrote him letters, telling him about the room, about the clock, about how time flows backward here, about how I'm waiting, always waiting, for him to come home. The mirror on the wall has become perfectly clear now, its silver surface reflecting not just the room as it is too, but the room as it was, overlaid with images from different times, different moments, all centered around the two figures you can almost see. Eleanor at her writing desk, Thomas winding his impossible clock, both of them young, both of them in love, both of them believing that time could be conquered, that love could last forever. But tonight is different. Eleanor's voice grows stronger again, more present, as if speaking to you has given her new energy, new hope, new purpose tonight. I can feel something changing, can feel the clock reaching some kind of culmination, some moment it's been building toward. All these years, the grandfather clock responds to her words, its ticking growing louder, more resonant, more alive. The hands on its face begin to move faster, not frantically, but with renewed purpose, as if they're approaching some significant moment, some crucial juncture in their backward journey through time. You're part of it somehow. Eleanor continues, you, and her voice is directed at you now, speaking through the wall, through time, through the impossible connection that the clock has created. Your presence here, you're listening, you're caring about our story. It's feeding the clock, giving it strength, helping it reach further back, deeper into the past. You press both palms against the wall now, feeling the warmth increase, feeling the barrier between times growing thinner, more permeable. The room around you seems to shimmer, to shift, as if reality itself is becoming fluid, as if the boundaries between then and now are dissolving under the clock's reverse influence. I can see you, Eleanor whispers, and her voice is filled with wonder, with gratitude, with something approaching joy. Not clearly, not completely, but I can see your shadow, your outline, sitting there against our wall, listening to our story, caring about our love, helping to bring the past back home. The Persian rug beneath you begins to glow, its patterns moving, shifting, telling the story of Eleanor and Thomas Day. Their meeting, their courtship, their marriage, their perfect years in this room, their separation, her waiting, her hoping, her endless faith that time could be made to flow backward, that love could conquer even death. Thomas built the clock because he understood something that others didn't. Eleanor's voice grows contemplative, philosophical, as if she's sharing a secret that has taken her decades to fully comprehend. Hay understood that time isn't really linear, that the past isn't really gone, that love, true love, creates its own temporal mechanics, its own rules about what's possible. The wardrobe seems to breathe now, its contents shifting slightly, as if someone invisible is moving among the dresses, the coats, the shoes that wait eternally for their owner's return. A blue silk evening gown sways gently, as if Eleanor's spirit is remembering how it felt to wear it, to dance in it, to be young and beautiful and in love while wearing it. The clock doesn't just tick backward. Eleanor continues, her voice growing more excited, more animated, as if she's approaching some revelation, some understanding that has eluded her for years. It pulls backward. It draws the past forward. It creates a space where what was and what is can exist together, can touch, can heal each other. The room's light grows brighter, warmer, more golden, as if sunrise is approaching, but a sunrise that comes from the past instead of the future, bringing not a new day, but the return of a day that was perfect, a day that was lost, a day that the clock has been patiently, lovingly, impossibly retrieving. And now, tonight, with you here, with your heart open to our story, with your spirit joining ours in this backward dance through time, Eleanor's voice rises, becomes almost musical, becomes a song of hope and anticipation and impossible possibility. I think it's finally going to work. I think the clock is finally going to bring him home. The grandfather clock chimes again, but this time the sound is different, deeper, more resonant, more alive than any mechanical device should be. The chimes seem to come from everywhere at once, from the past, from the future, from the eternal present that exists only in moments of perfect love, perfect connection, perfect faith in the impossible. As the chimes fade, the room fills with a new sound. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, approaching from somewhere far away, somewhere long ago, somewhere that exists only in the space between tick and talk, between what was and what might be again. Thomas, Eleanor whispers, and her voice is breathless, hopeful, trembling with 50 years of accumulated longing. Thomas, is that you? Are you finally coming home? The footsteps grow closer, more distinct, more real. They echo from behind the wall, from another time, from a love that refused to be ended by something as simple as war, as mundane as death, as ordinary as the forward flow of time. You remain pressed against the wall, feeling the warmth increase, feeling the barrier thinning, feeling yourself becoming part of something larger, something more significant, something that transcends the normal rules of time and space and possibility. The room around you pulses with anticipation, with hope, with the approaching culmination of a love story that has been 50 years in the making. The grandfather clock's hands move faster now, spinning backward through decades, through seasons, through the long years of waiting, approaching the moment when everything changed, when time moved forward and took Thomas away, when the clock began its impossible mission to bring him back. I can see him, Eleanor whispers, and her voice is filled with tears, with joy, with the kind of wonder that comes only when the impossible becomes real. Hayes walking through the house, climbing the stairs, coming to our room, coming home to me, coming home to us. The footsteps reach the top of the stairs, pause at the door, and in that pause, in that moment of perfect suspension, you realize that you are witnessing something extraordinary, something that shouldn't be possible, but is happening anyway, because love is stronger than time, because faith can move mountains, because some promises are too important to be broken by something as small as death. The door handle turns, slowly, carefully, as if the person on the other side knows how precious this moment is, how long it has been awaited, how impossible it is, and how real it's about to become. Eleanor's voice rises in a whisper that fills the entire room, the entire house, the entire backward, flowing stream of time that the clock has created. Welcome home, my love. Welcome home. And in that welcome, in that moment of perfect reunion, in that triumph of love over time, you understand that you have been privileged to witness something sacred, something healing, something that proves that the past is never truly lost, that love never truly dies. That time, when guided by a heart that refuses to give up, can indeed flow backward, bringing home what was thought to be gone forever. The room settles into a new silence, deeper than before, more complete, as if a long-held breath has finally been released, as if a 50-year question has finally been answered, as if time itself can finally rest, knowing that its backward journey has accomplished what it set out to do, bringing the lost back home, reuniting hearts that were never meant to be separated, proving that love, true love, is indeed stronger than time. Chapter 4-Day Yesterdays. Visitor, the fourth night draws you up the stairs with an urgency you've never felt before, as if something important is waiting something that cannot be delayed any longer. Your feet find the steps automatically. Now, your hand guides itself along the familiar banister. and your heart beats with the clock's reverse rhythm, even before you reach the door. Tonight, the entire house feels different. The air thrums with possibility, with presence, with the electric anticipation that comes just before lightning strikes. As you climb higher, you can hear not just the grandfather clock's backward ticking, but other sounds, voices, movement, life returning to spaces that have been empty for too long. At the top of the stairs, you pause with your hand on the brass doorknob, and through the white, painted door, you hear something that makes your breath catch in your throat. Laughter. Soft, warm, musical. The kind of laughter that comes from pure joy, from surprise, from the reunion of hearts that have been separated too long. The door opens at your touch, swinging wide to reveal a room transformed beyond recognition. Where yesterday you witnessed the echo of Eleanor's presence, tonight you see the full restoration of what this attic space once was, what it was always meant to be, what it has become again through the clock's impossible gift of reversed time. The grandfather clock stands in its corner, no longer alone, no longer just a mechanical keeper of backward moments, but surrounded by life, by presence, by the very people whose love gave it purpose. The room glows with warm light that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, casting soft shadows that dance and play across walls that pulse with contentment. And there, in the rocking chair that has waited so patiently for her return, sits Eleanor. Not a ghost, not a memory, not an echo, but Eleanor herself, young as she was in the photographs, beautiful as she was in Thomas's dreams, real as she was on the day she first walked into this room and made it home. Her dark hair falls in gentle waves around her shoulders. Her blue dress catches the light like captured sky. And her eyes shine with the joy of someone who has waited 50 years for this moment and found it worth every second of longing. Across from her, winding the grandfather clock with practiced hands, stands Thomas, tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes and gentle fingers. He moves with the confidence of a man who has built something impossible and seen it work exactly as he dreamed. His presence fills the room with warmth, with protection, with the steady strength that made Eleanor believe he could indeed make time flow backward. Neither of them seems surprised to see you. Instead, they both turn toward the door with welcoming smiles, as if they've been expecting you, as if your presence over the past 3 nights has made you part of their story, part of their miracle, part of their impossible return to happiness. Please, come in, Eleanor says, and her voice is no longer filtered through walls and years, but clear and present and warm with genuine invitation. Thomas and I were just talking about you, about how you're listening, you're caring. Help the clock find the strength to bring us back together. You step into the room and immediately feel the difference. Where before the air was charged with possibility, now it hums with fulfillment. Where before the space felt like a museum of memory, now it feels like a home. The transformation is complete, perfect, as if the room has shed 50 years of dust and waiting and returned to its original purpose as a sanctuary for love that refuses to be conquered by time. Thomas completes his winding of the clock and turns to face you fully. His smile is warm, genuine, touched with the kind of gratitude that comes from receiving a gift you never dared hope for. Eleanor told me how you sat with her, how you listened to our story, how you pressed your hand against the wall and helped her feel less alone. His voice carries the trace of an accent, refined, educated, the voice of a man who understood that love and physics could work together to accomplish miracles. Please, sit. Eleanor gestures toward a second chair that has appeared beside the rocking chair, upholstered in the same warm fabric, positioned at the perfect angle for conversation. We have so much to tell you, so much to share, and the night is still young. Or rather, she laughs, a sound like silver bells. The night is wonderfully old, deliciously yesterday, perfectly reversed. You settle into the offered chair, which feels as if it was made specifically for you. And as you do, you notice that the room continues to pulse with life, with activity, with the busy contentment of a space that is fully inhabited by people who love it and each other. The tea service on the small table has expanded, now including a full setting for 3, with delicate sandwiches and small cakes that look freshly made, though by whom and when, you cannot say. Steam rises from the teapot, carrying with it the scent of bergamot and roses and something else, something indefinable, the smell of happiness, perhaps, or the aroma of time well spent. We've been together for 3 days now, Thomas explains as he settles into a third chair that materializes as he approaches it. 3 days that the clock retrieved from before the war, before I had to leave, before our time together was interrupted. He reaches for Eleanor's hand, and she gives it willingly, their fingers intertwining with the easy familiarity of souls who have found their perfect match. It's been like a dream, Eleanor adds, but then shakes her head. No, not like a dream. Dreams fade. Dreams end when you wake up. This is real, permanent. The clock has actually pulled these days out of the past, given them back to us. Let us live them again, together. The grandfather clock chimes softly, not marking hours, but acknowledging the conversation, participating in it, as if it, too, is pleased with what it has accomplished. The hands on its face continue their backward movement, but more slowly now, more gently, as if time itself has learned to savor the moments instead of racing through them. But tonight, Thomas continues, his expression growing more serious, more contemplative all. Tonight is different. Tonight, the clock has brought us a visitor from what you would call the present, the future, the time that flows forward from where we left off. You realize he's talking about you, and the understanding brings with it a mixture of wonder and confusion. How can you be from their future when you're sitting in their restored past? When the room around you exists in some impossible space between what was and what is. Eleanor seems to sense your confusion and leans forward with the kind of gentle patience that comes from being a teacher, from explaining difficult concepts to eager students. The clock doesn't just move backward through time, she says softly. It creates a space where different times can meet, where past and present and future can exist together, can speak to each other, can learn from each other. We know things about your time, Thomas adds, and his voice carries a sadness that wasn't there before. The clock shows us, in its backward way, what came after we left, what the world became, what was built on the foundation of the war. I went away to fight. The room around you seems to shift slightly, and in the mirror on the wall, you catch glimpses of other times, other moments, scenes from decades you recognize all, from events you've learned about in history books, from the forward flow of time that continued after Thomas and Eleanor found their way back to each other. We see the cities that were rebuilt. Eleanor whispers, "Ooh," and her eyes are distant now, focused on images only she can see. The families that were reunited, the children who grew up in peace because of the sacrifice Thomas and others made, the world that learned, slowly, imperfectly, but learned nonetheless to choose love over fear. And we see you, Thomas says, and his gaze focuses on you with startling intensity, living in that future world, carrying forward the hopes we had, the dreams we fought for, the belief that time, properly understood, can heal rather than wound. The tea grows cold in its cups as the three of you sit in comfortable silence. 3 points of different times, connected by the grandfather clock's impossible gift, sharing a moment that exists outside the normal flow of history, a moment where past and future can speak to each other directly, honestly, lovingly. There's something we need to tell you, Eleanor says finally, and her voice carries a weight that suggests this is why you've been brought here, why the clock has arranged this meeting, why 4 nights of transformation have led to this precise moment. About the clock, about what it really does, about what it means for you. Thomas nods, his expression grave but kind. The clock was never just about bringing us back together, he explains. That was part of it, yes, but not the whole purpose. The clock was built to prove something, to demonstrate something, to teach something important about the nature of time and love and healing. Time doesn't just move forward. Eleanor continues, taking up the thread of explanation with the easy synchronization of people who have had this conversation before, who have thought deeply about what they've experienced, what they've learned. It doesn't just carry us away from what we've lost, from what we've hurt, from what we regret. Time can also be a gift, Thomas adds, a tool for healing, for understanding, for finding what we thought was gone forever. But only if we learn to see it differently or to use it differently, to trust it to carry us not just forward into uncertainty, but backward into wisdom. The grandfather clock's ticking grows more pronounced, more musical, as if it's adding its own voice to the conversation, its own testimony to the truth of what Thomas and Eleanor are saying. The hands on its face slow their backward movement, not stopping, but moving with deliberate grace, like dancers who have found their perfect rhythm. You've been changed by being here, Eleanor observes, and you realize it's true. Something in you has shifted over these 4 nights. Something has healed. Something has been restored that you didn't even know was broken. The clock's influence doesn't end when you leave this room. You carry it with you. The knowledge that time can flow backward, that the past can be revisited, that what was lost can be found again. Not literally. Thomas clarifies, sensing the question in your mind. The clock won't follow you home, won't make your own time flow backward, but the understanding will remain, the knowledge that healing is possible, that forgiveness can reach across years, that love, properly tended, can indeed conquer time. As he speaks, you begin to understand why you were drawn to this room, why the clock called to you, why your presence was necessary for Thomas and Eleanor's reunion. You weren't just a witness to their miracle, you were part of it. Your own need for healing, your own desire to understand, time's deeper mysteries. Help power the clock's impossible work. Everyone who finds this room, Eleanor says gently, brings their own wounds, their own regrets, their own need to understand how the past can be healed rather than simply endured. The clock responds to that need, uses it, transforms it into the energy required to reach backward through time. And in return, Thomas continues, the clock offers its gift not just to us, but to everyone who opens their heart to its backward rhythm. The gift of understanding that time is not your enemy, that the past is not a prison, that healing is always possible. If you're willing to let time flow in the direction of love instead of loss. The room fills with a gentle light as dawn approaches. But it's not the harsh light of morning, it's the soft glow of understanding, of completion, of a lesson learned and a gift received. The grandfather clock chimes 6 times, though its hands point to an hour that exists only in the backward flow of healing time. Tomorrow night. Eleanor says, and her voice carries both anticipation and a touch of sadness. Tomorrow night will be different. The clock will have completed its work, will have taught what it came to teach, will have given what it came to give. The choice will be yours then, Thomas adds, and his eyes meet yours with gentle intensity. Whether to stay in the past that the clock has restored, or to return to your own time, carrying with you everything you've learned, everything you've received, everything you now understand about time's true nature. The weight of this revelation settles around you like a comfortable blanket, not heavy, but substantial, meaningful. You have been chosen for something, selected for a gift that few receive, invited into a mystery that most never glimpse, and tomorrow night you will have to decide what to do with that gift, how to use it, how to carry it forward into a world that believes time only flows in one direction. But tonight, as the restored room pulses with contentment around you, as Thomas and Eleanor hold hands and smile with the joy of lovers reunited, as the grandfather clock ticks its backward blessing over everything it has accomplished, tonight you simply sit and listen and marvel at the miracle of love that refused to be defeated by something as simple as time. The clock has proven its point, demonstrated its truth, shown that the past is not gone, that love is stronger than loss. That time, when guided by faith and powered by devotion, can indeed flow backward, bringing healing instead of hurt, bringing together instead of taking apart, bringing home what was thought to be lost forever. And you, sitting in your chair in this impossible room, drinking tea, that tastes of roses and tomorrow, surrounded by love that has conquered time itself. You understand that you have been given the greatest gift of all, the knowledge that healing is possible, that the past can be redeemed, that time, properly understood, is not a river that carries everything away, but an ocean in which everything precious, everything loved, everything truly important is held safe forever, waiting patiently for the moment when the heart is ready to call it home. Chapter 50, back to the beginning. On the fifth night, the final night, you climb the stairs with a heart full of knowledge and a soul touched by mystery. Each step carries you not just upward, but deeper into understanding, deeper into the choice that awaits you, deeper into the moment where past and future converge around a single, impossible, perfect decision. The house around you feels different tonight, charged with completion, with the electric anticipation that comes at the end of a symphony. When all the themes have been played, all the variations explored, and only the final chord remains to be struck. The very walls seem to hold their breath, waiting to see what you will choose, what you will do with the gift you've been given. At the top of the stairs, you pause before the white, painted door, knowing that tonight will be different from all the others, knowing that whatever lies beyond this threshold will change everything. The brass doorknob feels warm under your palm, almost alive, pulsing with the same backward rhythm that has become as familiar as your own heartbeat. The door opens, and you step into a room that has reached the pinnacle of its transformation. Every detail is perfect now, every element restored to its original beauty, every surface glowing with the contentment of a space that has fulfilled its deepest purpose. The grandfather clock stands in its corner like a benevolent giant, its mahogany case gleaming, its brass fittings catching and holding light like captured stars. But tonight, the clock is silent. For the first time since you discovered this room, the grandfather clock stands perfectly still. Its hands have stopped moving, frozen at the moment of midnight, the eternal midnight that exists between ending and beginning, between what was and what will be. The pendulum hangs motionless in its brass housing, and the silence where its ticking should be feels profound, significant, complete. Thomas and Eleanor sit together in their chairs, but they too are different tonight. There's a peacefulness about them, a sense of completion, as if they have said everything that needed to be said, done everything that needed to be done, found everything they were searching for. They look up as you enter. their faces glowing with the kind of serenity that comes only when a long journey has reached its perfect destination. "Welcome," Eleanor says softly, and her voice carries finality, benediction, the sound of someone who has arrived at exactly where she belongs. "We've been waiting for you, knowing that tonight, this final night, belongs to you, to your choice, to your future." You settle into your familiar chair, the one that has become yours over these 5 transformative nights. And as you do, you feel the weight of decision settling around your shoulders. Not heavy, not oppressive, but substantial, meaningful. The kind of weight that comes with genuine choice, with real power, with the ability to shape your own destiny. The clock has stopped. Thomas observes, and his voice carries both satisfaction and a touch of sadness. Its work is complete. It has accomplished what it was built to do, brought us back together, healed what was broken, proved that time can flow in the direction of love rather than loss. The room around you pulses with completion, with the satisfaction of a task well done, a promise kept, a miracle accomplished. Every detail speaks of fulfillment. From the perfectly arranged tea service to the books that sit in their proper places on the shelves, from the mirror that reflects not just what is, but what could be, to the wardrobe that holds not just clothes, but possibilities. But now, Eleanor continues, leaning forward with the gentle intensity of someone who has something important to share. Now you must choose. The clock has opened a doorway between times, created a space where past and present can coexist, where you can live in either or both, depending on what your heart tells you to do. The silence where the clock's ticking should be grows more profound, more significant, as if the entire universe is holding its breath, waiting to see what you will decide, what path you will choose, what future you will create for yourself. You can stay, Thomas says simply, and his words hang in the air like an invitation, like a gift, like a door standing open to possibilities you never imagined. You can choose to live here, in this restored past, in this sanctuary where time flows backward, where healing happens, where love conquers loss. The clock will begin ticking again, pulling you deeper into its backward flow, giving you all the time you need to heal, to understand, to become whole. The offer is real. You can feel it, sense it, know it in the deepest part of your being. The choice to stay, to abandon the forward flow of time, to live in this impossible space where the past has been perfectly restored, where love has triumphed over separation, where time itself has learned to heal instead of wound. Or, Eleanor adds, and her voice carries equal warmth, equal acceptance, equal love regardless of what you choose. You can return to your own time, carrying with you everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, everything you now understand about time's true nature. The knowledge will go with you. The healing will remain. The understanding that the past is not your enemy will transform how you live in the present. The room seems to expand around you as you consider the choice, stretching to accommodate the magnitude of the decision, the weight of the possibilities. Stay in the past that has been perfectly restored, or return to the present that waits to be transformed by what you've learned. Both paths offer their own gifts, their own challenges, their own unique forms of healing. As you sit in contemplation, the room begins to show you glimpses of what each choice would mean. In the mirror on the wall, images flicker and dance, showing you two different futures, two different lives, two different ways of using the gift you've been given. If you stay, you see yourself growing older in this sanctuary, learning the deeper mysteries of backward time, becoming part of the clock's ongoing miracle, helping future visitors find their own healing, their own understanding, their own peace with the past. It's a life of contemplation, of service, of deep connection to the mysteries of time and love and healing. If you return, you see yourself carrying the clock's wisdom into the world, using what you've learned to heal, not just yourself but others, becoming a bridge between the forward and backward flow of time, helping people understand that the past can be redeemed, that healing is always possible, that time, properly understood, is a gift rather than a burden. Both visions are beautiful. Both are meaningful. Both offer their own unique form of service, their own particular way of honoring what you've experienced, what you've learned, what you've been given. Thomas and Eleanor watch you with patient understanding, knowing that this choice cannot be rushed, cannot be made lightly, must come from the deepest part of your being, from the place where wisdom and love and truth converge into clear knowing. There's no wrong choice, Eleanor says gently, sensing your struggle, your desire to choose correctly, to honor the gift appropriately. Both paths lead to healing. Both offer their own forms of service. Both are ways of carrying forward what the clock has taught us. The important thing, Thomas adds, is that you choose from love rather than fear, from wholeness rather than wound, from the understanding that time, whether it flows forward or backward, is ultimately in service to healing, to growth, to the endless possibility of becoming who you truly are. The grandfather clock remains silent, its hands frozen at midnight, waiting for your decision, ready to resume its backward ticking if you choose to stay, ready to release you into forward time if you choose to go, ready to honor whatever path your heart recognizes as true. As you sit in the profound silence, surrounded by the fruits of the clock's impossible work, held by the love of Thomas and Eleanor, embraced by the healing presence of the room itself, you begin to feel the answer rising from within you, not as a thought, not as a decision, but as a recognition, a remembering, a coming home to what you've always known, but perhaps forgotten. The choice, you realize, is not really about staying or going, about past or present, about backward time or forward time. The choice is about integration, about wholeness, about taking everything you've learned and lived and experienced in this room and carrying it forward, not as memory, but as living truth, as active wisdom, as transformative power. You rise from your chair, moving slowly, deliberately, with the grace that comes from clear knowing, from perfect certainty, from complete alignment between heart and mind and soul. Thomas and Eleanor watch with understanding, with acceptance, with love that asks nothing and offers everything. I understand now, you say, and your voice carries the clarity of someone who has finally seen the truth that was always there, waiting to be recognized. The clock wasn't just teaching me about time. It was teaching me about choice, about the power to heal, about the responsibility that comes with understanding. You approach the grandfather clock, its silent presence, both magnificent and humble, both powerful and peaceful. Your hand rests on its warm mahogany surface, and immediately you feel its readiness, its willingness to support whatever choice you make, its absolute dedication to the service of healing. I choose, you continue, and the words come not from your mind, but from your heart, from the place where wisdom lives, from the deep knowing that has been growing stronger with each night spent in this impossible room. I choose to carry this gift forward, to return to my own time, but changed, healed, transformed by everything I've experienced here. Thomas and Eleanor smile, and their faces glow with approval, with understanding, with the joy that comes from watching someone make a choice from their highest wisdom, their deepest truth. The room itself seems to pulse with approval, with completion, with the satisfaction of a gift well given and properly received. The clock will remember you. Eleanor says softly, and her words carry the weight of prophecy, of promise, of permanent connection. And you will remember the clock, not just as memory, but as living truth, as active power, as the knowledge that healing is always possible. That time can be redeemed. That love conquers all, even loss. And Thomas adds, reaching for Eleanor's hand, their fingers intertwining with the perfect familiarity of souls who have found their way home. We will always be here, in this restored moment, in this healed space, in this proof that love is stronger than time, holding the door open for others who need to learn what you have learned, who need to heal what you have healed. The grandfather clock suddenly chimes, once, twice, 12 times, marking not the hour, but the completion, the fulfillment, the perfect ending that is also a perfect beginning. As the last chime fades, the clock's hands begin to move again, but this time they move forward, carrying you gently, lovingly, inevitably back toward your own time, your own life, your own future, transformed by everything you've experienced, everything you've learned, everything you now carry within you. The room begins to fade, not disappearing, but becoming translucent, becoming memory, becoming the kind of truth that lives not in physical space, but in the transformed heart, in the healed soul, in the consciousness that has been touched by miracle and will never be the same. As the last traces of the attic room dissolve around you, as Thomas and Eleanor's loving faces become gentle shadows, as the grandfather clock's backward blessing carries you home, you feel not loss but completion, not ending but beginning, not separation but integration of everything precious, everything healing, everything true that you've experienced in this impossible sanctuary where time learned to flow backward, where love conquered loss, where the past was not enemy but friend, not prison but gift, not wound but healing. You return to your own time, your own life, your own world. But you return transformed, carrying within you the clock's greatest gift, the knowledge that healing is always possible, that time can be redeemed, that the past is not gone but waiting, patiently, lovingly, eternally, for the moment when you're ready to call it home, to forgive what needs forgiving, to heal what needs healing, to love what needs loving, and to understand, finally, completely, perfectly, that time, in all its forms, in all its directions, in all its mysterious possibilities, is always, always, always in service to love. The grandfather clock that ticked backwards has completed its work, has given its gift, has proven its truth, and now lives on, not in wood and brass and mechanical precision, but in you, in your transformed understanding, in your healed heart, in your soul that now knows with absolute certainty that time is not a river that carries everything away, but an ocean that holds everything precious, everything loved, everything truly important, safe in its depths, waiting patiently, lovingly, eternally, for the moment when you're ready to dive deep, to retrieve what was thought lost, to bring it home, transformed, healed, whole. You carry the clock's wisdom forward into every moment, every choice, every relationship, every opportunity to heal rather than wound, to build rather than destroy, to love rather than fear. The backward ticking lives in your pulse now, reminding you that the past is not your enemy, that time can be redeemed, that every moment offers the possibility of beginning again, of choosing love, of creating healing, of proving, once more, that love is indeed stronger than time. And sometimes, in the quiet moments just before sleep, you can still hear it, faint but certain, the gentle tick, tick, tick of time flowing backward, carrying with it the eternal promise that what is lost can be found, what is broken can be healed, what is separated can be reunited, and what is loved, what is truly, deeply, completely loved, can never, ever truly be lost. The clock that ticked backwards has become part of you now, and you, in turn, have become part of its ongoing miracle, its endless gift, its eternal proof that time, properly understood, is not the enemy of love, but its greatest servant, its most faithful friend, its most reliable ally in the endless, beautiful, impossible work of bringing everything and everyone, finally, perfectly, lovingly home. The end.